Kelly, just a heads up, we just started the stream with video, no audio. Mics are open now.
Hey everybody, I'm Jeff Gluck from SBNation.com. Welcome to AmpUp88.com. Thanks for joining us again. We're doing these weekly chats every week, and we're happy that you're back, and maybe some of you are new. AmpUp88.com is a place for Junior Nation to amp up each week before the race, and there's a lot of cool stuff on there. They have there's some free Dale Jr. autograph items that you could win. Every day they give one away, which is pretty cool. TJ Major's Twitter feed is on there. I follow that, obviously. He's the 88 team spotter, and he'll interact with the fans and stuff, so you can check that out. Also, there's an off-the-track video series each week. David Bryan is on there this week talking about the off-week preparation and stuff like that, so that's a good thing to check out. No chat next week, but in 2 weeks we're going to have Brian Weitzel, who's the team manager for the 5 and 88 teams. That's April 14th at 12:30, so come back for that. But right now, we have Doug Duchardt here, Vice President of Development for Hendrick. Welcome, Doug. Thank you for joining us.
It's good to be here. Ready to chat.
Yeah, well, let's get down to it. First of all, Doug, Vice President of Development.
Right.
I have no idea what that means,
right.
So tell me what that means.
Maybe we can have everyone kind of help with a new title for me.
You want a new title?
But the Vice President, there's two of us that kind of manage all the competition work at Hendrick Motorsports. Ken Howes manages the competition, which would be the two teams, the two race teams, the 588 and the 248. And then my group is the engine shop and the chassis and body shop, or the race car build. So the engine shop, we build all the engines for Hendrick Motorsports, for Stuart Haas, for Junior Motorsports Nationwide, Furniture Row, and then Finch Racing. So we build those motors. And then in the chassis shop, we build chassis for our four teams, Junior Motorsports and Stuart Haas, and then we hang the bodies for the teams, make carbon fiber seats. So my group basically is the manufacturing side of the operation. And
that's how you came up too, right? Your background was in engines and all that stuff coming up?
When I was in General Motors, I worked on engines. I was development engineer and design engineer on engines, and then went into management.
So if you have any technical questions, engines, chassis, or anything like that, bring them to us. Yeah. I'll try to ask Doug for you. But right now we already have some questions coming in. The first one here is from Jason Scholin. I hope I said your name right. I'm sorry if I didn't. HMS is the elite program in the Sprint Cup Series. How hard is it to stay on top?
I think it's no different than any sport. It's always difficult to stay on top, and we know there's a big target on us this year, and you hear it from the competitors after events or before events. So it's difficult, and I think the one thing is that Rick always says is the only place they can't tear us down from the outside. We can only do it from the inside. So we really focus on continuing to work together as four teams and supporting each other. And we feel that as long as our four teams work together, hopefully we can learn quick enough to stay ahead of the competition.
Jay Palm Jr. is wondering, we're actually up here in the 5 and 88 shop right now. Mm-hmm. Being in that same shop, you kind of touched on it earlier when you said there's two teams. Mm-hmm. How much information do the 5 and the 88 share? People are always asking about that.
Well, it's really between the four teams we share, and we have the ability that any of the crew chiefs, like Lance McGrew, Dale's crew chief, could right now click and see. Well, we're not getting raced this weekend, but next week he comes back from Easter. He could click and see what Chad Canales or Steve Letard are ready to do for Phoenix. Mm-hmm. So that's. He has that. That's live during the race weekend, and it's live here at the shop. And then also the race engineers work together on issues, and then the design engineers between the teams work together. So we try to make sure that personnel that are doing the same jobs in the different teams work together, that everyone knows what's happening.
How long has that method been taking place here at Hendrick?
It evolves every year, and we try to do it better every year. But I'd say the last 3 or 4 years, it's really taken hold.
Dances with Cat is wondering how someone becomes. Yeah, it's a good name, huh? How does one become a development or a / test driver? If you want to get into it, how would you do that?
I get a lot of resumes about that, and a lot of people interested in that. I think the best thing is just to make sure that you get in one of your local series, do the best you can, hopefully win a championship in your local series, and try to get your name out there. And each organization goes through different timings when they're looking for development type drivers, and you just hope that your time links up with a big team. For us, obviously with the four team limit, that's kind of changed the way we look at development drivers. Unfortunately, it's been difficult, and also I think with the economy, it's been difficult for nationwide teams to really take on someone and run them a whole year.
Yeah. T. Burglar, which is kind of a cool name in itself, actually, is wondering your day-to-day responsibilities at the shop. You show up here today, average day. Take us through what you do.
Typically, every day is kind of different. Once you get into the race week, Mondays you try to get back in the office and just catch up from the weekend. Tuesdays, every Tuesday we have a crew chief meeting. Myself and Ken Howes and the 4 crew chiefs get together and talk about what happened on the race weekend, any issues around the complex. Today I have a meeting with my engine managers, so we go through any issues in the engine shop, and then I usually try to daily check in with my chassis and body manager, and in between that just fight whatever fires are occurring, which are a lot.
Never know what's going to pop
You never
up.
know. Every day you never know.
Yeah. D.R.L. De Boer, I'm sorry, totally butchering these names. I need like a linguistic
phonetically. You need it phonetically spelled out.
Yes, right. Is wondering about Landon Castle's status with HMS. You talked about test drivers earlier, and he does some testing for you guys. Can you tell us what's going on with him?
The Landon, we're looking at some opportunities for Landon, and I'll just say stay tuned. I think there'll be some news in the future.
Cool. Sounds good for you Landon fans out there.
Yep.
Jake Backer is wondering, how do you decide which engines go to which teams?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because, I mean, you build all these sorts of engines.
Right.
People are always wondering, does some guys get better engines than others, or how does that work?
Jim Wall is our engine engineering director, and his group comes up with a specification for a track. So say, for instance, Texas. We send out the specification for the Texas engines, and then we plan those, and so the assemblers will get an engine, assemble it for Texas, but he does not know what car that's going to. He just knows that engine is slated for Texas. We run them on the dyno. We get done. Rick has it's about a 0.5% rule, which out of 800 horsepower is about 4 horsepower.
Wow.
We try to make sure that the 7 engines we ship out for that week are within that range. And Jeff Andrews, our engine director, will take those engines and assign them to the cars after they've run on the dyno.
Wow, that's cool.
That's the process. And Jeff is a red wine fan, so the crew chiefs know how to get to him. It's pretty all above board.
That's the secret.
It's all above board.
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, I never knew.
Yeah.
Speaking of engines, someone Jonathan Dorton down in the engine shop, has a question for you.
Good.
He would like to know who was your favorite driver growing up?
Jonathan is, of course, the son of Randy Dorton, who managed our engine shop, and he keeps us all smiling. So I'm glad we got a Johnny question in here. My favorite driver growing up, I would have to say, I grew up in Central Illinois, and I loved A.J. Foyt when he was running Indy cars. So I was a big A.J. Foyt fan.
He kind of reminds me of Tony Stewart a little bit.
Those two are kindred spirits for sure, in many ways.
Yeah. Speaking of questions from people that you work with, we have a couple others if we can take those real quick. I'm sorry, we'll get to everybody's questions, but some celebrity questions here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone named Chad Knaus, I'm not sure who that guy is, has a question for you.
Yeah.
He says, with the new spoiler on the back of the car, do you feel that when the cars turn backwards when they're spinning, will they stay on the ground better?
I can't believe that Chad had the time and took the time. It's very touching for me that Chad would take the time to send me a question.
He must think a lot of you, yeah?
He does. yeah. Of all the questions Chad said he was going to ask, that one I'm very thankful for. So I believe that, yes, the testing that's been done that's going to help on the liftoff situation. The spoiler seems like in the testing we've done in the wind tunnel, it helps on the liftoff situation, and hopefully in Talladega we won't have any incidents of cars getting in the air. So I think that's going to help.
Do you think that is that is a problem? Are we still going to see cars get in the air? Is that the solution, or is it just going to help? Or
I think, if you go back to the we'll call it Monte Carlo days from our standpoint, you rarely saw cars. You would see them start to get in the air, and then it seemed like they just hit a speed, and the downforce on the back of the car would put it back down, overcome the lift in the back of the car. And I think that, we haven't had this particular configuration because this greenhouse is different than the Monte Carlo, but I think we're going to see that unless it's a very odd circumstance, for instance, if someone started getting around and then another car hit it and really got it up, I think we're going to be in good shape.
Yeah. Well, you're not off the hook with the Chad questions yet.
Oh.
He says that you have a really good Bill Murray impersonation from Caddyshack. Can you do that?
Bill Murray. Well, it is one of the all-time greatest movies.
Sure. And
of course, he's talking about Carl Spagler, and so it's almost this is what we could have said in Martinsville Sunday. I don't think the heavy stuff's going to come down for a while yet.
I actually heard that.
That's all I'm going to go with.
A couple times.
How's that?
Not that good. Not
well,
that
you
good.
know.
But
yeah.
I mean, yours is good. I heard it a couple times. Not that good.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah.
Several people said that in Martinsville, unfortunately, Sunday. Is there any other impressions you can do?
Chad, I can do Chad.
Oh, we got to see that.
But the Chad isn't necessarily the voice as much as just what he would say.
Okay.
Well, dude, I don't have time for this.
That was actually close to the voice too, and the facial expression.
I mean, I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
Are we about done?
That's what makes him so
Chad,
successful.
there you go, buddy.
That's what makes him so successful.
You should be WebSense and not watching this, but I'm going to call IT when this is over.
One more crew chief question here. This is not from Chad. This is from Lance McGrew.
We did this on an off week. That's these guys all this time.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You need to put them to work.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are any of the crew chiefs that you have, are any of them prima donnas?
Only the redheaded one.
Oh, okay.
Only the Cajun.
Okay.
Tough.
All right.
Very tough to deal with. But I figured it out. He's fiery. Okay. But I figured out how to handle him.
Have you? Are you going to tell
No,
us?
I don't have any idea how to handle any of them.
Okay. All right. Well, back to the fan question now.
But this is a good slice that they get to see just what I have to put up with these guys.
Man, I don't know if I want your job, honestly. Yeah. Speaking of the off weekend, with these guys having so much time, do you have any? Jake Backer's wondering if you have any exciting plans coming up. What are you going to do
this weekend? I have my mother's coming in town, and my son and I are going to Clemson for a campus visit. He's a junior in high school, so we'll do that. And of course, enjoy Easter. Watch a little Final Four.
Mm-hmm. You got a pick?
Boy, I think Butler's been good.
Yeah.
And Michigan State. I mean, I used to live in Michigan, but I think Butler looked good in that game. The other game's hard. I think West Virginia's going to be tough. We'll see.
Yeah. Norco Cheer Mom, who's big on Twitter. I've talked to her